Since Avengers Endgame released in 2019, we have gotten 11 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The general consensus has been that the quality of the movies has been dipping. The magic that we once had during the Infinity Saga is now gone. So many people have their individual opinions as to why this has happened. There's too many movies and the quality has dipped in VFS, or there's a lot of threads that start and then they don't tie into the greater story. There are characters and movies that we loved and too many years have gone by before we've seen them again. There's forced diversity and the TV shows have just been running wild with no connection to the movies. I don't think any of these things are true. I don't think that any of those things actually matter to people. I think that those are reasons people are coming up with because they don't know why they don't like the multiverse saga. I personally don't think it's bad. None of the movies have been phenomenal, but also not every movie in the Infinity Saga was phenomenal either. I think that the main thing that has been missing in the multiverse saga, the reason that the magic is gone, is because there's a lack of friendship. Infinity Saga boils down to 3 scenes. In the 22 movies spanning across 11 years, it really boils down to 3 scenes. The first scene takes place in Avengers, and everyone probably thinks I'm about to talk about that rotating camera scene with all of the Avengers coming together. No, wrong. I'm talking about a scene that's halfway through the movie, where Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man meet each other in the woods. And what do? They fight. They fight to a point where they all realize that none of them can win, and they really are all in this together. These iconic characters, this godson Thor that has mystical powers but is shackled by this destiny, a soldier out of time that can't stop fighting in a war even though his is gone, and a billionaire genius weapon manufacturer that can't stop creating weapons that he wears. These are not friends. They're not enemies, but they're certainly not friends. And through the course of the movie, we do see them bond and fight and bond, but this scene, the beginning of their road together, establishes the story moving forward after they realize that they can't beat each other. 3 years later, we get Avengers Age of Ultron and the second scene. And you're saying, oh, all right, we're just doing Avengers and then Avengers. Maybe, sure, whatever. I'm not ignoring the movies in between, but I am telling you that the reason that Infinity Saga was special was because at the end of Age of Ultron, we get our 3 characters again. Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. And of course, they've interacted with each other throughout the whole movie, but this scene specifically establishes why this story works. You have the God, you have the genius, and you have the super soldier joking around. They're walking down a hallway joking about how Vision can't really be worthy because he's a machine. And if you put a hammer in an elevator, does that make the elevator worthy? And they're all having a good time. See, those walls that were built around them when they first met in the first Avengers movie have been removed. And what we are seeing are 3 equals joking around and building a kinship. 3 equals who only understand each other and are only understood by each other. Fast forward now to Avengers Endgame. And yes, there was a lot of stuff between Age of Ultron and Endgame, but one scene specifically matters. You have these 3 heroes now standing on a pile of rubble looking down on Thanos, knowing that they are all about to fight for their lives. And those walls that were built up in the beginning and then broken down halfway through have now been rebuilt around them. These 3 characters that have had their own separate adventures and starred in and out of each other's stories. But this moment, this true moment where the 3 of them look down upon Thanos and they know it's likely they're never walking away from this, walk into battle again. And this time, the way they fought each other in Avengers, they fight towards a common enemy. And we know what happens after that. Captain America picks up the hammer. It's amazing. You have the Avengers assemble moment with 300 different cast members all fighting. It's great. And then we get the inclusion of these 3 characters' stories. Iron Man, that is selfish and narcissistic, lays his life on the line to save others. The soldier, who can't put down his weapons, goes and joins his wife for a life of peace. The king's son, shackled by destiny, finally gives up the throne and wants to find himself. this only happened because of their friendship. They would have continued on their stories endlessly, but their combined story is what made the Marvel magic. And because they formed this brotherhood, they were able to end their stories, with quotation marks, in a way that truly mattered and made their characters fully developed. Now, I thought Marvel was going to continue this. I thought the torches would be passed. Iron Man clearly in Infinity War gave the torch to Doctor Strange. Additionally, in Infinity War, Captain America was going to pass his torch to Black Panther, and I thought that in Endgame there was a parallel between Thor and Captain Marvel. And I thought that the new trilogy was going to be Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Captain Marvel being these three iconic characters with these walls built around them, with these destinies and their insecurities and their problems that they can't break down, and that they would continue on the multiverse saga, making us, the people, the audience, root for their stories. But that didn't happen. And I do want to put the asterisk, yes, Chadwick Boseman unfortunately passed away. I don't know what the story would have been like. I'm not saying the story couldn't have filled that role, but I do still think that that is what is missing from the multiverse. I don't think anyone is friends. I don't think any characters are developing. Yes, there are sequels, and yes, there are side characters, and yes, there are technically things that are happening to the characters as an individual, but that doesn't tie together this cinematic universe. Us, the audience, are just watching people living their lives. It doesn't make this cinematic experience worth it without seeing these iconic characters interact with each other and form a friendship that could only happen inside this universe. And it's what no other cinematic universe attempt has ever been able to master, and it seems like Marvel isn't really doing the job either. I do want to say there has been some close attempts, like we have seen in the Marvels, 3 different characters forming a friendship together. We saw the Guardians say goodbye together. We saw 3 different Spider-Men come together in No Way Home. And in the new movie Deadpool and Wolverine, we saw a buddy dynamic that was 20 years in the making. There are these individual pieces that are happening, but the magic still isn't there. I think that those 3 scenes in Infinity Saga, there's been nothing like that in the multiverse, and that's why we don't feel the same way. Until we actually see people coming together in these movies, I don't think that any amount of budget, casting, directors returning, cameo experiences, or large fight scenes are going to fix that missing piece, which is its heart.